Good morning, Year 7. Welcome to our third E-Assembly. Hope you're well. Hope you're doing fine, and I hope you're keeping safe and positive and looking after everyone, as we always talk about. I hope you're working hard. I hope you're having fun in the afternoons. I hope you guys are okay. Now, it's our third assembly. It's not a surprise. You know what we start off with, our 5 senses, just a bit of mindfulness. So as we always do, I'll give you sort of 10 seconds just to think about 5 things that you can see, 4 things that you can feel, 3 things that you can hear, 2 things that you can smell, and 1 thing that you can taste. So I'll just give you sort of 10 seconds just to yourselves, just for a bit of mindfulness, just to think about those 5 things. Okay, great. Right, let's get started. Theme of this week is one that I'm really excited about, is faith. So let me just give you 2 definitions before I talk on about it. So faith is complete trust or confidence in someone or something. In other words, you could use a belief, confidence, trust, and expectation. Now, you guys know I'm a Christian. You guys know that whilst we don't go to a faith school, we are based on Christian values. So this assembly that I'm going to be talking about is, to be honest, about my faith and what's important. There is no expectation, or there is no demand on you to accept what I'm saying, but I just think it's really important to me, and I'd just like to share it with you. One of my favourite Bible stories is Mark 4:35 to 41, and this to me is why faith is so important. I'll just briefly read you the story. You can also click on the title there. That's a hyperlink that will take you to a website where you can read it yourself. Let me just read you this story and explain to you why it's important to me anyway. So, that day when evening came, he said to his disciples, "Let us go over to the other side." Leaving the crowd behind, they took him along just as he was in the boat. There were also other boats with him. A furious storm came up, and the waves broke over the boat. The boat was nearly swamped. Jesus was in the stern, sleeping on a cushion. The disciples woke him and said to him, "Teacher, do you not care if we drown?" He got up, rebuked the wind, and said to the waves, "Quiet, be still." Then the wind died down, and it was completely calm. He said to his disciples, why are you so afraid? Do you still have no faith?" They were terrified and asked each other, "Who is this? Even the wind and the waves obey him." Now, for me as a Christian, that's really important. Not only does it show Jesus his power over nature, not only does it show his humanity, but it also shows how important faith is. Let me explain. So, Jesus, when he's asleep in the boat, even though there's this massive storm going on, fulfills an Old Testament prophecy that says that he who sleeps will be fine. They've placed their faith in God, and God's going to look after him. So that for me is really important. Jesus is asleep. Jesus is calm. Jesus has placed his faith in God the Father himself. But I think as a Christian, as a human Christian, it's more important, because I can understand that my faith in Christ is never ever misplaced. Jesus Jesus calms this storm with 3 words. 3 words, and he saves these disciples' lives, and he ends the storm. So if Jesus can calm a storm, a really threatening, life-threatening storm, in 3 words, he can calm the storms in my life. He can calm the difficulties and the problems that I might be facing, or that Christians might be facing. So, how does that apply today? Well, you guys know that we are in really rocky seas at the minute. We've not done this before. It's really unsettling. It's scary. I haven't seen my family in weeks, and that's upsetting, and it's just a frightening time. But my faith in Jesus and in God, I know that actually, whilst it's really uncertain, I've got hope, and I'm getting guidance. And I know that in my heart that soon this will all be over, and soon this will all be fine, and I'll be safe, and my family will be safe, and you'll be safe. That's my faith telling me, my faith in Jesus. When he calms that storm, I read that story and think, if he can do that, he can help me get through this, and he can keep me calm and hopeful in this really dark time of ours, actually. The second story that I wanted to share with you, Mark 5:25 to 34. Again, there's a hyperlink there if you want to read it. It's the woman with a hemorrhage. Now, what that means is that this woman has been bleeding, and she's been bleeding for about 12 years. Again, let me just read the story to you. And a woman who was there had been subject to bleeding for 12 years. She had suffered a great deal under the care of many doctors and had spent all she had, yet instead of getting better, she grew worse. When she heard about Jesus, she came up behind him in the crowd and touched his cloak, because she thought, if I just touch his clothes, I will be healed. Immediately her bleeding stopped, and she felt in her body that she was freed from her suffering. At once, Jesus realized that the power had gone from him. He turned around and asked, who touched my clothes? You see the people crowding against you, the disciples asked. Yet you can ask, who touched me? Yet Jesus kept looking around to see who had done it. Then the woman, knowing what had happened to her, came and fell at his feet, trembling with fear, told him the whole truth. He said, daughter, your faith has healed you. Go in peace and be freed from your suffering. Now that's a really important story for me, and it's quite confusing, but essentially, let me just summarize it. So there's a woman who's bleeding. She's been bleeding for 12 years, and she just touches, you can see it on the picture there, the fringe of his cloak, and she's immediately healed. Now, this is really important. The woman at the time, she would have been treated as an outcast. Women weren't seen as high a status as men, so she would have been sort of bottom of the pile when it comes to Jesus. And not only that, the fact that she was bleeding meant that she was seen as unclean and dirty, and no one really wanted anything to do with her. Now, this is important. She knows that she can touch Jesus and she's going to be healed instantly. Her faith has immediately healed her. Daughter, your faith has healed you. Jesus has acknowledged and accepts and appreciates this woman's faith in him. Now, what this is for me really important is that faith is for everyone. This woman would have been downcast, treated so badly, completely abandoned by society, but her faith, it was open to her. The opportunity was open to her. So I think it's really important, if you have a faith, just like this woman here, she was the bottom of the pile, treated so poorly, but she was open with her faith and she was proud of it, and something amazing and miraculous happened. She was healed after 12 years. The fact that she was so open and so trusting, and she had so much faith in Jesus, she was healed. So, I want you to think about that. I want you to think, do I have faith? If I do have faith, what miraculous things are going to happen? Now, on that note of for everyone, I would just want you to have a look at these sort of these pictures here. The picture on the left is obviously loads of footballers who love showing their faith, but people on the right, Bear Grylls and Stormzy, are people that you might not necessarily know are massive Christians actually, and their faith is really important to them. Stormzy, his song "Blinded by Your Grace" is actually all about his faith and how it's helped him. And actually, on that note, I think music's a really great way of deepening and expressing and being inspired to have more faith. But I could talk about that for hours and hours and hours. But faith is for everyone. Look at these people here. You've got some of the world's best footballers. You've got some of the world's best musicians. You've got Bear Grylls, who's just my all-time personal hero. Faith is for everyone. These people have all come from different backgrounds. They've all got different stories, but they all have the same level of faith. Faith is for everyone. And on that note, I also want to do these 5 people: Mr. Leto, Miss Lisk, Mr. Bull, Miss Castle Smith, and Mrs. Fajan. They're people in our school community who I feel are real beacons of what it is to be a Christian. They've all got a really high level of faith, and it's really important to them in their day-to-day lives. So faith is for everyone. Faith is for everyone. Go and have a look at the Chertsey RE Twitter account on and you can see these 5 people talking about scripture that's really, really important to them. And I think it's really important to understand that faith is not something to be ashamed of. It's not something to be embarrassed about. These people, love God, love the Bible, love it all, and they're not ashamed to talk about it. So if you have a faith, please, please, please be really open and really proud of it. But I think it's also really important to realise that faith is a journey. You might have no faith at all. You might be full of faith, and sometimes you might doubt your faith. But you've got to understand there is no pressure from anyone or anything to have a faith. But have faith in something. Have faith in something. I'm not sitting here telling you that you need to go and become a Christian, but have faith, have trust in your friends, your family, yourself, anything at all. Have faith in it. That faith will get you through these really troubled times. And as we've talked about, and as I've said already, good things happen with faith. If you have faith, you can be healed. If you have faith, you can get through any sort of tricky times. Now, I'm not saying you have to have faith in Christianity, but have faith in something. Have faith in something, and amazing things will happen. So, I could talk for hours and hours and hours about faith. I could talk about what it means more to me and how my journey's gone, but I'm not going to. I just want you to reflect on these few questions. These have come from Mrs. Munich, and I do think it's really important to have a think about these questions. What can I do if I do have a faith to demonstrate it to those around me? How will I ensure that I use my faith right and I don't end up going the wrong way this week? How might I help others to have faith during the most difficult times this week? What practical steps can I take out this week to carry out acts of mercy, faith, and loving kindness? Now, Mrs. Munich has also done an assembly this week. Click the link there to go and have a look at it. I feel like a proper YouTuber. Go and click on the link to watch Mrs. Munich talk about faith as well. Now, just to wrap up this week, I put this in the newsletter. Please, there's so much email traffic going on. Just a reminder, use your school email to send emails, obviously, to your teachers. If you need to use your parents, that's fine. But if you are sending an email, it needs to come from your account. If for whatever reason you have forgotten your login, can you just get mum, dad, or whoever's at home to email me, and I can sort that out for you? Okay. Now, I just want to point out how to write an email. So always start with a greeting. If you're emailing a teacher, I think it would be appropriate to say, "Dear Mrs." or "Dear Sir," or this, that, and the other. Make sure that you've put a subject in, and make sure that your email is written like how you would like it to sound. I really don't like emails that are really short. I don't like emails that say, where I can't access, show my homework. You need to write it out as if you were speaking to them politely and to their face. Don't forget to end your message with thank you or kind regards, and put your name at the end of the email. I know it sounds like I'm being really pernickety, but this is a really important life skill. When we talk about you guys going to get jobs and sending CVs out, you need to make sure and you need to know how to send an email. Mrs. Tack has already done a massive lesson on this in ICT lessons, which is obviously super important. Please make sure that you're writing proper, nice emails to people. Lastly, Chertsey High Five Challenge is going on. Keep checking the Instagrams, keep checking the social medias and having a look at all of those sort of things. Also make sure that you keep an eye on the Get to Pretoria challenge that staff are doing, travelling from Chertsey all the way to Pretoria in South Africa. And lastly for me this week, you guys are obviously going to be moving into year 8 so shortly, and it scares me that's gone round so quickly. But you've had such an amazing impact on the school this year, and I would love that to rub off onto the next year's year 7s. So this week I'm going to be emailing you a very, very short survey, just with maybe 1 or 2 questions, just talking about you, and I'd like to find out about your experiences of year 7s, and more importantly, what advice could you give them in year 6 who are coming up in September? What advice would you give them to get round life at Chertsey High? What hints, tips and little life hacks could you give them? Ladies and gents, parents at home, that's me this week. I could keep talking and talking and talking, as you know. I've got so much more about faith that I could this assembly could be an hour, 2 hours long. Have faith in something, guys. Great things happen when you do. Keep safe, keep positive, keep looking out for each other. I love you, I miss you, I cannot wait to see you all again. Take care, guys. Have faith. God bless.